It's always a challenge to be the last presenter before lunch, so I'll try to rush it up and hopefully try to make it a little bit interesting. So, as a brief introduction about me, Ahmed already gave one. I run a chain of hotels in India, Octave Hotels. We have 250 rooms in Bangalore. While I was running my hotels, I realized that in the technology domain of hotels, especially on the marketing and distribution side, there was a gap. And that gap was around a revenue management system, which over the last 3 years, we built into an automated revenue management system called Aiosell. We'll be talking more about it. It's also an all-in-one hotel technology system, which is primarily on the OTA and distribution side. So let's get started. The main agenda, first we'll talk about the key technology trends for hotels, primarily around the marketing and distribution side. And secondly, we'll talk about revenue management in detail and about our product. So the ultimate goal of a hotel is obviously to make profits. We want to increase revenues. We want to reduce costs. Now, the question that we need to ask ourselves is, can technology help us do that? So everything that we speak from now on until the presentation should eventually answer this question, that can technology help us make more profits? So, everything that I'll speak now will be from the hotel owner's perspective. I know that there are many people here who are not hotel owners or hotel operators, so we'll try to keep the conversation from a hotel owner's perspective. If you're a hotel, what channels do you typically use to get business? So there are two main channels. There is online and there is offline. The trend that is moving in the market is that more and more business is moving from offline to online channels. In fact, in the leisure segment, the percentage has gone up to as much as 70 to 80% in some markets. In corporate segment, in corporate hotels, the percentage of online business is still lower. Now, if we were to focus on the online channel, what are the 4 factors that a customer, you guys are all customers, what are the 4 factors that you use to decide which hotel to choose, right? So the 4 factors, primary location, content and photos, you want to see good photos when you see a hotel. Reviews and ratings, very important, because nowadays, reviews and ratings are probably one of the single biggest factor of deciding the hotel. And the 4th one is price. Now there's one thing that you can't change in here, that's location. The other 3, we can use the technology that I talk about to try and influence better and improve. Alright, so this is a typical hospitality hotel technology stack. Right? Some of you may be aware of some of this. From the hotel, so on this side we have the hotel, on the other side we have customer. On the hotel, the first thing we have is a property management system. We talked about a lot of the systems like Opera, Protel. We now have a lot of cloud-based PMS systems. From there, we move on to a channel manager. A channel manager are products like SiteMinder, TravelClick, Vertical Booking. Now, these are distribution software that helps you connect your PMS, your inventory and rates to the channels, which the channels being OTAs. Then we have the OTAs. Here, Booking.com, Expedia, Agoda, and a 4th one, which is typically your own hotel brand.com, is what we call it, your own hotel website.com. From there, we have a new channel that has come up, which is the meta search. A meta search is typically where a customer goes first to find the best price for your particular property. The typical meta searches are Google, Trivago, Kayak, and Skyscanner, right? So that's that, and all of this has to roll back in terms of reputation management. So there are systems around reviews and ratings that a customer gives back to the hotel, and this is typically the technology stack that we talk about. And I'll talk about some trends in each of the technology stack, and then we move on to revenue management strategies. A PMS, a property management system. So what are some of the emerging trends in that? The first trend is there's a lot of movement towards the use of cloud-based PMSs. So now we don't want to have these big, bulky installations with a strong IT team, with viruses, virus protection, backups. And with chain management, it's even more difficult because then you need a CRS and it's a big complicated thing. Now with the advent of cloud technology, what is happening, especially in the smaller hotel segment, it has still not been that popular with the larger hotels, but a lot of the PMS systems are moving to the cloud. We have a lot of use of mobile apps and tablets. The more we move to the cloud, we have minimum manpower. And one of the most important things, the technology stack that we talked about, all the systems and all the technologies are integrated with each other as one beautiful round system. So the key being that all technologies are integrated with each other, which is something that was not there in the earlier years, and which is something that we are moving towards. Now on the channel manager, OTAs, meta searches, some of the emerging trends. Now some OTAs, Booking.com, Expedia, are getting very powerful. If they get very powerful, they charge a lot of commission. Right? When they charge a lot of commission, we hotels have to be worried, and we need to shift a lot of our business directly to our website. Right? In some markets, like especially in India, I don't know what the status here, we are from India, there is a big clamor for market share, and a lot of OTAs are discounting rates from their own pockets. And in fact, they are manipulating the rates to try and get a bigger market share. And that's the whole valuation and investing and all of that stuff. So that's on the, there is an emergence of many alternate stay channels, like Airbnb, homestays, and this is a new entry into the hospitality segment. One of the things that one needs to worry about is having rate parity. So one of the things that every OTA insists, which many of them themselves violate, is that your rate on all the OTAs should be the same. And that's when all OTAs will support you unanimously, or they will all support you equally. So this is on the OTAs. Typically from the OTA side, you need a healthy, as a hotel owner, you need a healthy mix of business from all OTAs. This is just a sample breakup from, let's say, the important channels. You have, Booking.com, Expedia, Agoda. In this market, you have Traveloka and a few of the other local ones. And the last one here is the most important one, which is your own hotel website. As a hotel owner, our goal should be to maximize the amount of business that comes from our own website so we can avoid paying these hefty commissions. This is an example of a website, and what you see on the right, the Book Now button, is what opens what we call a booking engine. A booking engine is typically where a hotel puts its price, and eventually a customer can book directly to the hotel. Online reputation management, these are the reviews and ratings. Now we have systems. In fact, our Aiosell product that we'll talk about a little bit more. Also, some of the emerging trends is that we have a lot of reviews and ratings that have moved on to the OTAs themselves. So earlier we had specialized sites like TripAdvisor that would accumulate a lot of these reviews and ratings. Nowadays, you have ratings on Expedia and on Booking.com that are equally important, right? What most hotels are doing or should be doing is tracking real-time, tracking and measuring the real-time reviews. So every time a customer sends a review, typically there should be a real-time delivery of that review onto the hotel, whether it's the owner, the front office manager, and everybody, and there is a way to aggregate it. Some of that is done by a system. I'll show you some snapshots of that. What some hotels have started to do is they started to give their staff performance targets based on those reviews and ratings. So now reviews and ratings are the single biggest factor that determine the service level in your particular hotel. So then you need a simple way to measure and aggregate reviews and ratings across all these OTAs, so that then you can set targets for yourself, for your hotel, and your staff to make sure you provide superior service to your guests. This is a snapshot of our system. You see reviews are tabulated. You can reply from inside reviews. You can search. Now this is also something very interesting where you can aggregate reviews. So this is a snapshot where you have reviews from Google, Agoda, Booking.com, the number of reviews, the average score, and all of that aggregates together to give you a final score. So this is something that it's very useful for hotels because they have one final aggregated score across all channels that they can then use to set their service targets. So one of the things I talked about is that the entire hospitality stack needs to be one integrated system where everything, so from the PMS system, the inventory should move automatically to the channel manager and to the OTAs. When a booking comes, the booking should lodge itself automatically to the PMS. So it's all a complete automated system. Now we talk about the next part of our presentation, which is the revenue management system, which is our company and what we do primarily. Now what is revenue management? What does revenue management mean for hotels? Technically, revenue management is selling the right room to the right customer at the right time for the right price through the right channel with the best cost efficiency. Now, it's very easy to say, but it's obviously a lot of stuff that goes behind doing that. Right? So now, where have we seen revenue management? We've seen revenue management with airlines. All of us, when we book our flights, there are different prices at different times. Now, how is revenue management in flights, airlines, different from hotels? Now, there are many factors. One is airlines is a consolidated market. There are usually a few airlines and few flights that go from point A to point B. And the systems are a lot more consolidated. In hotels, there are a lot disparate, many different systems that each hotel uses. And the amount of supply in each market is much higher. And hence, the same principles that are used for revenue management in airlines may sometimes not be directly applicable for hotels. So hence, hotels need to come up with their own way of revenue management, which is what we will talk about. Now, how is revenue management traditionally done? Most revenue management in hotels is done by somebody who's a revenue manager or a general manager or a front office manager who has an Excel sheet or some kind of spreadsheet which he's using to decide some rates and enter it manually. Or he's using a traditional RMS. There are some existing RMS systems, but they are usually very data analytics, past data driven. They do a bunch of data analysis and then take the inputs of that data and still do this manually. Right? Now we believe, our philosophy is this the right approach in today's world? And we'll talk about why there are some gaps in this approach which can be approached, which can be bridged by use of technology like ours. Now what is happening is, the advent of internet and smartphones has made a traveler very last minute. He doesn't plan for his travel, right? So most travelers are now using their mobile phone and booking last minute bookings, right? So typically, the average booking window or the lead times that used to be for hotels, which was earlier 60 days, 30 days, has now come down to 7 days, in some cases 24 hours. So there is so much condensation of booking time that what happens during that lead time and booking window pretty much determines your entire revenue management strategy. And hence, the earlier rules of taking a lot of past data and only using it to come up with the best pricing strategy may be a little less relevant, right? Also, another big reason is that we are in a very dynamically changing world. In most markets, what happened last year or 2 years before may give you a trend line, but in general, it's not conclusive enough. We need various contextual parameters that will help us determine the right price at the right time for a particular hotel in order to sell itself most effectively. So now, with all this happening last minute, what does the revenue manager do? The revenue manager is obviously bombarded with information. The revenue manager cannot be expected to be there in front of a computer all the time, 24/7, to change the rates all the time. So what happens? What do we do now? Right? We clearly have a situation where the traditional form of revenue management may not be the most applicable in order to maximize the current context of consumer behavior. Right? So the answer to that is our Aiosell pricing robot. Aiosell is the name of our company. And a pricing robot is pretty much an AI-driven automated solution. So a fully automated revenue management system that uses AI to deliver three things. So there are three main benefits. Optimize the rates. So during high demand, when the market is good, the artificial intelligence system ensures that you get the maximum value for each room. At the time, if your last booking has come at 2 in the morning, the system will automatically increase the price for that last room at 2 in the morning to make sure you can maximize every room, the price for every room. Second one, increases occupancy. So on low demand period, typically how low do you want to go and how much can you drop the price in order to maximize the occupancy? Right? So we are working in high season times, low season times. A mix of both of those will determine the right revenue management strategy. And third is greater efficiency. The revenue manager can now sleep peacefully. He doesn't have to be in front of the machine all the time. He doesn't have to be worried that, hey, am I doing something right? Am I missing out on an opportunity? Is there a sudden spurt of demand that I have missed out on? And that's the beauty of an automated, AI-driven revenue management system. So now, a big question that you would ask is, what are the factors that one can use to determine these prices? Now, there are both a mix of internal as well as external factors. Now, in terms of internal factors, you have occupancy. So we believe that every room for a hotel should be sold at a different price. And we'll come to a little bit about that. Time of the day or week, So now we know, as we talked about, that sometimes guests book more in the nights, sometimes they book more during the mornings, and exactly which time of the day or the week you are there, the propensity of the guest to book may be higher or lower. So this is also a factor that one needs to keep in mind. Third, booking window, as I talked about, the time, the D minus current is the time that is there from the booking date to the stay date. As far as external factors is concerned, competition prices. Now most earlier revenue management systems would use competition as a sole factor for determining their prices. Now we do not recommend that because we say that each hotel is living in its own individual context. There is a chance that your neighboring hotel, which you consider competition, could be 80% occupied, whereas you in your hotel are 30% occupied. In that case, if the neighboring hotel is priced at $500, it may still make sense for you to price at $250, cut that hotel, and take that latent demand during that time when your occupancy is much lower. But however, we still need to keep an eye on the competition prices, and which is why competition is a factor in our system. We have booking pace, demand, seasonality. All of these things come together. They connect with an artificially intelligent algorithm to then determine the best price. Now, as we talked about, every room should be sold at a different price, so we can have graphs where as the occupancy increases, the price increases. And now different hotels would have different pricing patterns. So this graph could be a lot flatter for business hotels where the price variation is lesser. It could be a lot steeper for a lot of other hotels which are more leisure driven or where the last minute rooms can get you the maximum price. The booking window based price, so this is another factor where, as we say, so traditionally the common thought is that the earlier you book, the more of a discount you should get. However, in our current revenue management philosophy, we believe that may not entirely be the case, because as a hotel, our goal is to maximize our rates and maximize our occupancy. So hence, so much of consumer behavior is happening in the last minute. A lot of times what we recommend is that you start selling at a slightly higher price as you come closer and closer to the closing date, and you realize you take the contextual approach of how much you're occupied, and then start dropping the price in a lot more sequential manner, and then wait till the last minute, and I'll show you a real life example, where so much of it is happening that the traditional rules may not be directly applicable. So a lot of times what we do, the farther we are from the booking date, we actually keep the price high, and as we come closer and closer to the booking date, depending on the occupancy we have and the empty rooms we have, we start dropping the price. So this is actually a screenshot of our system. You can see this is an example from one of the hotels. Every date has a different price. You also, the revenue manager or the hotel also has the ability to override the artificial intelligence system. So we do not recommend that the system you should let the system take over 100%. Our typical recommendation is that the system should override rates 80% of the times, and the revenue manager or the hotel should override it 10 to 20% of the time. So the best is the mix of both the system along with the human managing it. There are lots of contextual factors that obviously the system may not be able to keep in mind. There are lots of these. This is another screenshot of a lot of analytical factors that we use to determine the right price. Now this is a real life example of a 10-day booking window for a particular hotel. So as you see, the price starts from a little bit high. As we come closer and closer, we realize that, okay, we have empty rooms, the price drops, the rooms start filling up. As the rooms start filling up, right in the end, the price goes up high again. So we are actually not leaving money on the table, and we are trying to maximize whatever price we can get due to this real-time automated revenue management system. A little bit, we are now working with 150 properties in about 4,000 rooms, 100 locations. We're a very new company. We've only been around 2 or 3 years, and we are now in 10 countries. We are in Malaysia, in Thailand, in Russia, primarily in Europe. But again, this is just the beginning of our journey. These are some of the case studies. This is a hotel group in Thailand where there were 2 hotels. In one, we achieved a sales growth of 25%. In the other, we achieved a sales growth of 17%. And as the owner says, we got much better rates, 90% occupancy, and automate our entire chain level pricing. This is the 5-star hotel in Mumbai. So this 5-star hotel didn't struggle with occupancy. They were always running at a steady 80% occupancy. but they wanted from us an increase in their ADRs. So every hotel has a different goal, and our pricing strategy could be tailored to that particular hotel's goal. So for this particular hotel, we saw in the third month a 31% increase in their ADRs because of this automated pricing, algorithmic pricing approach. Now, where does, in the technology stack that we talked about, where does the revenue management system fit in? So actually it fits in right in the middle of a property management system and a channel manager. So typically, there's a lot of integrations involved. So you have to integrate with either a property management system or a channel manager, or in some cases both, to still continue the whole automated way of working. We are integrated, we are in the process of integrating with some of the leading property management systems like Opera, like Protel, Clocks, and a lot of cloud-based systems which are useful for small hotels. So our system, what we realized when we started this business, we thought that this was a solution that was primarily applicable for smaller budget mid-segment hotels. But as we tried this system on larger 5-star properties, we realized that the actual benefit to even larger hotels is much, much higher. Because those 5-star hotels could, even a 10% increase in a hotel that does $1 million revenue is a sizable increment, right? So this is the kind of benefit. Now we're seeing a lot of movement in all segments of hotels, right? From Airbnb and independent homestays to 5-star hotels that have over 200 rooms. So yeah, this is the last slide that I have. So the closing thought is that we don't want machines to take over. What we want to do is that we want to use the power of artificial intelligence, the power of computing power, yet at the same time use our human intelligence to combine them both to give the maximum value. That's me. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much, Siddharth. Any questions?
Yes.